Let's take a deep dive into the crust of the Earth and explore the fossil record of the Tree of Life. This is Howe Caverns. We are going 100 feet below the surface. The fossil record, key species found, mapping the Tree of Life of science and humanity. The fossil record is one of the major clues to evolution. But when Charles Darwin presented his theory in 1859, the fossil record was spotty at best. While addressing the difficulties of his theory of natural selection, Darwin wrote, "The crust of the Earth is a vast museum, but the natural collections have been imperfectly made, and only at long intervals of time." Happy Memorial Day, everyone. I'm at the Yale Peabody Museum. It just recently opened. I have asked the question, what makes Deinonychus so important? Let's explore this. The main concept is that we can fit the days of creation found in the Bible into geologic time. As I have explained in other videos, Deinonychus is a key species in showing how creation fits into evolution. Let's focus on the fifth day. In Genesis chapter 1, Moses wrote about the fifth day or period of time. One thing to note, in the King James translation of the Bible, the word whale is used, but a whale back then was thought of as a fish. In the Hebrew translation, the word fish would fit better. Genesis chapter 1, verses 20 through 23. "And God said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth, in the open firmament of heaven. And God created whales, or fish, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly." Verse 20 said, "Be fruitful and increase in numbers, and fill the water in the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." And there was evening, and there was morning, and the fifth day. That's pretty interesting. Let me explain that. So we see here that they were multiplying over the generations, and we see that there was time passing, not just a day, and there was an evening and there was a morning, the fifth day. So it says fifth day, but in there it does show how there is a passage of time during the fifth day, generations of time.
The lactites that used to be kind of hanging up inside of here, and doing so he did damage our cave, but he also left it with a super cool effect. Hollow chambers inside of here that when hummed into actually resonate off of our pipe organ, creating a super cool sound. Would anybody like me to demonstrate this?
Yes.
The fossil record shows that the first fish evolved during the Cambrian era, around 500 million years ago. There was a key fossil discovered a few years after Darwin wrote his book Origin of Species that looked like a bird that had a long tail and claws on its wings and feathers and teeth in its beak. 100 years later, the fossil was determined to be 150 million years old through radiometric dating. The method of radiometric dating wasn't discovered until 1984. So now we have a time frame of how long the fifth day or period lasted, about 500 million years ago to about 150 million years ago. Are you following me? So how does Deinonychus fit into all this? What makes Deinonychus so special? Well, Deinonychus was discovered in 1964 by none other than my uncle John Ostrom. Maybe there's a little bit of a bias, but let me explain. Up until the discovery of Deinonychus, scientists didn't know how birds evolved. Yes, they evolved from fish, all vertebrates evolved from fish, including you and me. But scientists didn't know if birds evolved from pterosaurs, dinosaurs, crocodiles, or some other proto-species. John compared the Deinonychus fossils to the Archaeopteryx and found surprising similarities. He concluded that Deinonychus and Archaeopteryx were close cousins, relatively speaking, which means birds evolved from dinosaurs. Today, birds are actually considered to be avian dinosaurs by the scientific community. There's Archaeopteryx, the first bird. And over here is a Deinonychus skeleton replica, but it's the wrong size. They say here, look at this is the wrong size. They say he's only 3 feet tall. He's 3 feet tall at the hips, but really he's 5 feet tall. So here's my life-size replica of a Deinonychus. It stands about 4 feet 4 inches tall at the stance it is right now. It could stand higher, it could stand as much as 5 feet tall if it was in a more upright position. But I think this basically represents a natural stance for Deinonychus. It's somewhat horizontal, but not completely horizontal. It's about 3 feet at the hips, and with the head, it's about 4 feet 4 inches tall, which comes up to my shoulder. You see, the discovery of Deinonychus does 3 things, actually. One is it further proved evolution to be correct. 2, it shows how evolution is part of the tree of life. And 3, it shows how the tree of life, the scientific tree of life, fits into religion, specifically Christianity and the days of creation. So that's pretty significant because Christianity is the predominant religion of the United States. And given the political climate these days, there's a lot of confrontation between the Christian community and the scientific community, which has divided into the political spectrum. So the discovery of Deinonychus is important because it brings the two sides together. It brings the scientific community and the religious Christian community together. At least that is what the discovery of Deinonychus could lead to. So let me tell you a little bit more about my Uncle John. So he had a love for knowledge. He was always wanting to learn more, and his field led him to the discovery of Deinonychus, which led him down a path of scientific discovery. But he also had an interest in religion, or at least he had questions that he didn't know the answers to, that he pondered about religion. And he wondered how the Bible or how religion fits into the scientific knowledge that he knew. But that's one thing that he never was able to discover for himself. So he grew up in a very religious family. His father was an eye doctor, but he was also very religious, and after he retired, he served a mission in Afghanistan. In 1969, William Ostrom wrote about his famous son, John Ostrom, while he was on a mission in Afghanistan. I actually worked it into a talk I gave at church.
He then describes the birth of his first son, my famous uncle, John Ostrom, who studied to become a paleontologist and discovered a missing link between dinosaurs and birds. He named the dinosaur Deinonychus. And the crazy part is, this journal answered a question I have had a long time about my famous uncle. Thanks be to God, he wrote. Norma and I had a son, John H., born in February 1927. This brought joy, responsibility, and trouble all together. God tests those whom he loves continuously to strengthen their faith. When John was 8 months old, he suddenly became a blue baby and barely survived. In answer to Norma and my intercession before the great physician to save our son, He was revived under X-ray therapy and oxygen. We laid all of this before the Lord. The result is the Lord's will, not ours. A very well-educated scientist known all over in his work in evolution. He believes in that Genesis is correct, but not set in scientific language. He says he wishes he knew more about the biblical side of the story because the physical pattern is so beautiful. So for a very long time, I've wondered what my Uncle John's beliefs were about God. I have reconciled my faith with science and evolution for many years now. And I gotta say that once you reconcile the two, it is even more beautiful. But knowing that my Uncle John had some faith and some belief, even if it was the size of a mustard seed, still leaning on his father's faith, it strengthens my faith.
I know, that was a bit of a tangent. Let's get back to exploring the crust of the Earth and the discoveries found in it. What does the fossil record tell us about the evolution of mammals, and therefore mankind? And how in the world does the evolution of man fit into the days of creation?